Hello everyone, it's White One Auto checking back in again today, and what we have in the shop here is a C10 Chevy, and to my knowledge this thing has been LS swapped, and so far I am pleased because I get a lot of vehicles in here that someone else or the owner is LS swapped, and typically they don't really start up that nice, but this thing starts up great. Let me give you a quick peek under the hood. And it looks very good underneath the hood too, especially for a non-professional swap. I like the way it looks. So what it's in here for is we're going to upgrade the rear end. We're gonna add either 410 or 411 gears and a traction unit. I need to see what type of rear end is in it first. So we'll get this thing up in the air, get the cover off, check the U-joints, and check everything out. And then we will order parts and make our decision. So keep following along. Yeah, so the swap on here looks pretty good. It's actually, it's a lot better than some cars I've seen that have come from shops that people have paid large amounts of money to swap. It's actually a pretty good swap. The rear end doesn't appear to have any gross types of leaks or anything like that. The U-joints are nice and tight on here. So what we'll do, we will start with getting both of our rear wheels off and draining our fluid so we can take a look and pull our axles out and then actually determine exactly what type of housing this is. It is a 10 bolt, but I always like to tear down the axle before I order parts just to make sure, because a lot of times rear axles get swapped in and out of cars, and although it physically may fit the car, it may be a different year that can cause you some interference issues with the internals of the rear end. So we just like to tear it down and then order parts. So let's do that. So we have our cover off. Everything looks okay in here, but look at how big our pinion is. So it's always a telltale sign that this is probably a lower numerical gear. We took one drum off. It looks pretty clean in there, but let me pull this drum off for you. So you can see we have some leakage there. I'm pretty sure this is, yeah, so we do have a leaking axle seal there. We will take our C-clips out. Oh, our pin is right there. So you have to pull this pin out first, get this pin out, and then we can rotate the axle to get our C-clips out. Excuse me, rotate the differential to get our C-clips out, and then move forward with our teardown. So we got our drive shaft out, and this thing is really, really hard to turn. So that lets me know this thing was probably making some noise. It should not be that hard to turn for a already installed used unit. And this drive shaft here, I would have to get the truck up on the 4-post hoist to tell, but I'm pretty sure just based off of experience, it's probably, I'd say at least a ½ inch too long. But we will make mention of that to the customer and let them know. But we are gonna continue tearing this thing down and get our parts ordered. Okay, so we've got our case all cleaned out. Let's talk about our parts selection. A couple tips I want to give you is that whenever you're ordering parts for a rear end, first you need to determine the year and the model type. So this is an 83 10 bolt GM 8.5, and it has a pinion with a 30 spline count, and that diameter is 1.262. And then also you need to know your axle spline count. We have 28 spline axles. And then another thing is that if you are going to reuse your carrier, you need to know what size gear you currently have, because carriers are sized for the size of ring gear. So if you get a larger numerical, so say like if you went from like a 273 to like a 410, the carrier is going to be larger in size. So carriers are sized, I believe, from like 273 and up or 308 and up. And 308 and down or 273 and down. So what we have for selection is for a carrier traction unit, we are going to use an Eaton Truetrac. It's a full mechanical unit. It doesn't have any clutches in it. And I believe this thing takes 80, 90 weight fluid. I'm almost certain of that. We are going to use an all-star gear. So we're going to 411. And then we are going to use this motive gear installation kit because it has the correct size carrier bearings for this larger hub over what a stock style carrier would be. So there's one thing I want to point out. So your pinion, your ring gear. So do you see how small this gear is compared to our old one here? You see that thing is huge compared to this. So what we're putting in is a 411 and we're taking out probably a 273 or 308 or something. I haven't calculated it and I probably won't just because I don't care. So our housing is clean. So what we start with first is we're going to press our bearings on our pinion and get a shim, and then put all our races inside our housing. And we also have new axle bearings and new seals. And I like to keep an extra crush sleeve just in stock, just in case we make a mistake. So, because once you crush this thing down, you cannot reuse it if you go over your initial pinion bearing preload. So what we'll do is get our races in, our shim on, our shim on our pinion, and then we'll keep it going. So we have our pinion bearings in here and our preload set, and you can see how easy this thing turns, as it should. If you remember before, the old bearing, which should have broke in, so this will free up some as it breaks in, but it was way harder than this to turn. And so next what we're gonna do is mount our bearings on our carrier, press those on, and then we'll put our carrier in and start running our pattern. So quick tip, whenever you're pressing bearings, remember you press against the inside of the race because this is still under tension. We'll put some more on there. You can see the races spin freely because you want to press on the inside, because if you press on this outside, you will damage that. So just a quick tip. So we're moving along with our 411 gear installation. We have our backlash all set and we have ran our pattern. I'm very, very happy with this pattern. So what we're gonna do is continue on the road. We'll, I guess we'll probably put our brake shoes on now, and then our axle seals and our axle bearings, and then put our plug in and fill it up full of fluid, and this thing will be ready to go. So we'll check back in a second. So they didn't have the correct shoes in stock, so we had to clean these up, but we did put all new hardware on there, and we're cleaning up our axles now. We got our new axle seals and our new wheel bearings in, so it'll be time to put a little bit of lube down there on each bearing, slide our axles in, and then throw our clip in, well, our plug on the rear end. So we have both of our axles in, so now we'll put our C-clip in, and it is in there. Now let me pull this axle out. And so on your Truetrac differentials, this plug goes in next. And you just gotta make sure you got both of your axles pushed out all the way. Let me double check this one. And get our plug in. Wait, it's kind of hard on camera. Let me reposition this one C-clip. Okay, so the problem was I didn't have our C-clip all the way seated. So you put this plug in, and now we'll rotate it up just a little bit so the plug stays in. And then you put this cover on, And there's a snap ring that goes around there. Let me get that. So our snap ring is in, and this thing is done. The only thing we have left to do is put the rear cover on and fill it up with fluid, but everybody knows how to do that already, I'm pretty sure. So we'll skip that. So just a quick few things I want to overview is I like to order my rear end parts after I get it disassembled so I can verify my ring gear size, my pinion spline count, and my axle spline count. And then that's when we order our kit and our ring gear. Remember, your ring gear bolts are lefty tighty, righty loosey, and you want to torque your caps down to your recommended spec. I think on this one it's 60. Get your backlash set and then run your pattern, and then make sure to put fluid in it. We also put new axle bearings and wheel seals for the leaks that we had going on. So thank you to everybody for watching. I'll be sure to tell the owner about the drive shaft and this cracked leaf spring right here, and that he should also replace those brakes because we weren't able to get the right ones in stock today. But everything else, we are all set. He's ready with this Truetrac. And let me pull the instructions out just to verify that gear lube. Yeah, so Detroit Truetracs do take a GL5 rated 80-90 weight gear oil. So this thing is all ready. It's all wrapped up here. So we're gonna get it back to the owner so he can have some fun with it. Thank you guys once again, and ladies, White One Auto out.